Ha guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. NBA trade rumors: Warriors must trade Steph Curry if not willing to mortgage future. NBA trade rumors: if the Golden State Warriors aren't willing to mortgage the future to make a win now move, it may be time to trade Steph Curry. After a strong first month of the season, it's almost as if reality has begun to set in for the struggling Golden State Warriors as we approach the midway point of the season. The Warriors are 19-20 and are sitting outside the top 10 in the Western Conference standings. If the season ended today, their Warriors would not even qualify for the play-in tournament. Overall, this year would be viewed as an astounding disappointment for the team. For a team that is trying to win one more championship with Steph Curry, their Warriors missing the playoffs entirely is almost unforgivable. That's why heading into the NBA trade deadline, you'd imagine that Golden State would be willing to make a strong win now off. Interestingly enough, that may not be entirely the case. According to a recent report, the core of the franchise doesn't believe that the team should mortgage the future with a win now move. That's completely an understandable stance for the franchise, but if they're not willing to make a win now move, then perhaps it's time for the Warriors to make another one. If Golden State is not willing to mortgage the future to surrounding Curry with a winning roster, maybe it's time for the team to trade Steph. If the Warriors aren't willing to take the gamble that it would take to keep this championship window open, it makes little sense to keep Curry on the roster. Curry doesn't seem like the player who was ever going to demand a trade away from the franchise, but if the Warriors continue to be hesitant to make a big move via trade, there's a big conversation that's going to have to take place. Curry must figure out whether he's willing to play the final few years of his career as a non-C contender, or if he's going to push for the Warriors to be more aggressive. If Golden State is unwilling to be more aggressive via trade, it's unimaginable how this team is going to be able to emerge as a championship contender in the foreseeable future. That means that the next championship window that may open for the Warriors is probably going to be when Curry has long retired. It's admittedly a difficult situation all around. The Warriors want to keep their flexibility open, and Curry probably would much rather play for a contender. Is there a middle ground of any kind for the two sides? I'm sure that's the hope. However, if the Warriors are sold on not mortgaging the future, we may have arrived at the point where they might be better off trading Curry. Is Draymond Green playing versus Timberwolves? Latest Warriors injury update: the Golden State Warriors visit the Minnesota Timberwolves on Wednesday night. Draymond Green is on the injury report alongside Gary Payton II, with Green listed as questionable and Payton II as probable. Green is dealing with an L5-S1 disc injury and an illness, while Payton II has a left calf strain that sidelines him since the Warriors' 115-133 loss to the Los Angeles Lakers on Christmas Day. Here's everything we know about Draymond Green's injury and his playing status versus the Timberwolves. Given that Draymond Green is questionable on the injury report after missing 2 consecutive games, the assumption is that he could play against the Minnesota Timberwolves depending on how his body responds. Green and Payton II are fixtures on the injury report these days, but that could change ahead of Wednesday's matchup. Payton II's probable status should signal his return, while Green's lingering disc injury could lead to him missing his 3rd straight amid a 2-game skid. The Warriors could use Green's help in their starting lineup. Golden State is 4-6 in its last 10 games and slightly below a 500 record. 19-20, a win against the Timberwolves could break the Warriors' tie with the Phoenix Suns for 11th place in their Western Conference. Perhaps it will lead to a string of victories, and Green and the Warriors could put themselves back into the playoff picture in the tightly contested Western Conference. Green's been consistent in his production this season, averaging 8.7 points, 6.2 rebounds, 5.6 assists, 1.2 blocks and 1.1 steals per game. Green continues to impact both ends of the floor. He scored a season-high 21 points in a 143-133 loss to the the Dallas Mavericks on December 15 and finished with a season-high 14 rebounds and a 105-101 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder in November. Green has missed 6 games this season, starting in 31 of his 33 appearances. Draymond Green last played in a 107-104 win against the Detroit Pistons last week. He finished with 7 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists and 3 blocks in the Warrior previous meeting against the Timberwolves. Green tallied 7 assists, 6 points and 1 block in a 114-106 win. However, the answer is maybe when it comes to whether Draymond Green is playing tonight versus the Timberwolves. Warriors prepared to sacrifice their future for Blockbuster LeBron James trade despite Steph Curry's warnings. As the championship window for the Golden State Warriors begins to close, the team's front office is actively seeking ways to bring another championship back to the Bay Area. Warrior superstar Stephen Curry is currently signed to a deal with the team through the 2026-27 season, but his declining production and lack of a fellow star on the roster have hampered Golden State's ability to win games. Currently sitting at the 12th spot in the Western Conference standings, 14 games behind the conference-leading Oklahoma City Thunder, the Warriors front office is trying to find ways to bring a superstar to complement Curry and boost the team's chances of making the playoffs. At the same time, Curry has been on record saying that he doesn't want the team to make what he called a desperate move that would deplete the future of the franchise, but sources indicate the team is still working on a trade anyway. Sources tell DailyMail.com that the Warriors could be lining up for a massive move to acquire either Los Angeles Lakers superstar LeBron James or want-away Miami Heat forward Jimmy Butler. Despite Curry's protestations, though, Steph is saying he doesn't want his team to do anything drastic. That is exactly the opposite of what is happening behind the scenes. The source says the Warriors brass wants to make a splash and is having discussions with the Lakers and the Heat to potentially obtain LeBron James and or Jimmy Butler before the trade deadline. While a move of this magnitude may be in the hearts of the Warriors front office, sources say that the logistics of pulling off such a move could make it harder than expected for that to happen. So many things have to fall into place, especially since LeBron and Jimmy have no trade clauses in their contracts, a source told DailyMail.com, and both the Lakers and the Heat would want a multitude of future draft picks and expiring contracts. Golden State wants to win now and is highly considering giving up their future for now. If they don't make a deal before February, they won't make a deal, but Golden State is on the phone with teams to get a superstar to join Steph so he has a chance to win another championship. There may also be a money issue that prevents this from happening. According to Basketball Reference, Golden State is roughly $36 million over the NBA salary cap. Adding additional contracts would send that number much higher. Curry's salary of about $55.7 million takes up roughly $39.7% of the Warriors' cap space at the moment. The Warriors will see 4 players become unrestricted free agents over the summer: Dennis Schroeder, Gary Payton 2, Kevin Looney and Lindy Waters 3, with Jonathan Kuminga, Quinten Post and Bates Spencer becoming restricted free agents. Golden State still has all of their first-round picks through 2031, which may be used as important pieces if a trade is to be made. As of now, the Warriors are half a game out of the final playoff spot, just about halfway through the NBA season. Curry is averaging 22.7 points, 5.1 rebounds and 6.1 assists per game. His points total has been on a steady decline since the 2022-23 season. The same can be said for both James and Butler. James' PPG has gone from 28.9 in 22-23 to 23.7 this season. Butler's has dropped from 22.9 to 17.6 in the same span. And you fan, what do you think of the situation of LeBron James? Leave your opinion in the comments.